Hello, Loreheads. Mark here. I just want to give y'all a quick update. So just as John and Rebecca have had a new addition to their family, I have also had a new baby. So in case you're wondering why our episode release schedule might be a little wonky in the coming weeks, that is why. I know we went on a bit of a break earlier. We might do something similar. John and Rebecca are looking into things like episodes that the two of them can do, things that might be quicker or smaller, things like the Warcraft episode we did on the Patreon, which was tons of fun. Highly recommend it. I would say keep an eye on the Twitter, keep an eye on the Discord. That is where we will post updates as to how things are going. And, rest assured that we absolutely want to get back into our regular weekly release as soon as we have all acclimated to, the new changes in our lives. But we really appreciate y'all for listening and sticking with us. And, I guess enjoy the Nilah episode.
Hello, lore heads, and welcome to The League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
And I'm Mark.
Today we're talking about the Joy Unbound Nilah?
Nilah's how the casters pronounce it, so I'm going to trust him on this one.
I know she says her own name.
Oh my god, she does.
And I think it's Nilah.
Okay, so we were right.
I wish she didn't say her name, because I was really liking that we had a Shaco type champion again, where people don't know how to fucking say their name. But I guess not.
No, all right.
Not this time, I guess.
Well, the Joy Unbound Nilah, I guess.
Now I gotta check, because I'm gonna feel like a real asshole if she does say Nilah. As I was watching her, like a teaser or something earlier, and Sarah's like, "Oh, is it Lila?" I was like, "No, it's Nilah." But I guess we both can't hear. That's the
You're too old.
It gotcha.
Nilah and Leela.
I was curious because the etymology that they had on the wiki looked like it came from like the word Nilo. But I guess we'll get into that in the fun facts.
Sure, yeah, that's a nice, it's a teaser for the fun facts. Ooh, you want to know what the fuck Nilo is? Because I don't. It's when you're like bending down, your knees get low.
Yeah, that's what it's from, because she bends a lot.
Oh, man.
Rebecca has run off to grab Poppy, who got the hiccups right before we put her down to bed tonight, so she is unhappy and not sleeping.
She's got feelings about Nilah. She's sitting there saying, you're saying it wrong, assholes.
She's in the crib like, hey, put me in, coach. I'll clear this up.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I don't know when Nilah's release date was, but I know it was recent.
It wasn't our birthday, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it might
She's
as well
no
be
Belveth.
Right? You could tell me 1969 and I would believe you.
Oh shit, she's gonna have been released on like Rebecca's birthday now, and I'm gonna look like an asshole.
Fuck. I don't even know where Rebecca finds that information, to be honest with you. I'm trying to look at it now in the wiki.
Oh my god, it was actually close. It was July 13th.
Yes, I was just going to say, okay, Nilah was released July 13th, 2022, 10 days before my birthday. That was so very close.
Still. That is weird.
It is close. I'm still not the asshole, though, so... Phew.
And 14 days before Poppy's birthday.
Ah.
Who was born right after me. Literally, we're minutes apart.
You look like sisters.
Gross. All right, we're going to have baby hiccups for a little while, and we'll see how long they last.
Yeah, well, you know what? She's chill for the time being, so we're gonna power through.
All right, what does Nilah sound like?
Oh, I didn't do an impression this time because she has a very strong Indian accent.
Oh, she does. Okay. I was looking at her quotes though, which I never really do, and I feel like there's a lot of lore for other champions.
I
in her
know.
quotes.
I have a bunch of
Ones written down.
ones written down.
Okay, we'll
Just
see.
interesting tidbits that either move some lore forward or just reference some lore. It was interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I think when we look at her VO, I mean, I'll see what you guys think, but I kind of felt like that's like a running theme with her is that she's more of a vehicle for lore for other things in the world, and she as a character gets a little left in the dust.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we can get into it.
All right. Yeah, she just has a bio and a short story as a new champion. And I'll dive into the bio. I have notes.
I have notes too.
Oh shit! Look at us go. Poor Belveth. We didn't give a shit about her, I guess.
Because we knew. We felt very comfortable. With Nilah.
That's true.
Nilah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Nilah, I didn't know anything about. I knew that she was joyful and she's a waterbender. That's basically all I knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, it's something about a demon. Yeah.
Yeah. Demon, joyful, waterbender. Done.
All right. Well, Nilah is a classic champion that does have another name that is lost, not to time necessarily, because she's not like hundreds of years old, but lost due to
the
magic.
world. Yeah.
Lost to the world.
Consumed by demon shit.
But I'm still going to call her Nilah.
Yeah, that's fair.
She was a normal bookworm in Cathcan? Cathcon?
That sounds like a convention for like Kathy fans. You're going to CathCon 2020.
Are there Kathy fans?
Huge fan of
It's three people.
Catherine's. All versions. I was trying to think
Three
of
of
other
the
names.
most unhinged people you've ever met.
Cathcan?
Yeah,
Sure.
Cathcan. Cathcon. I liked Cathcan.
Cathcan. Okay. It's next to Camivore, apparently. We do learn in other stories that I guess people haven't left this area in a very long time, which is Riot's way of saying we didn't invent it until just now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Ixtal, right?
Yeah.
It was sealed away in nothingness because it didn't exist. Anyway, though, Nilah was super into stories about monsters and heroes and stumbled across one called The Cycle of Ashlesh. Ashlesh was the Lord of Joy, and I'm going to quote, "He's a many-limbed beast who menaced the world along with its 9 ferocious siblings." I didn't quite get Ashlesh. It's very joyful but evil. I was very confused.
It's an interesting thing. Like, I assume, like, you know, Evelyn is also kind of like a demon of...
But that's lust, which is a sin.
Oh.
You know,
Look what lust got us, John.
a beautiful hiccupy boy.
Did you just say boy?
I was going to say, did you say...
Beautiful hiccuping boy?
You know, as he
Yeah.
reads the lore, he like forgets shit about his real life. Like,
Oh,
it's
God.
just leaving
I
his
am Nilah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, demons find shitty ways to ruin good things.
That's
Sure.
fair. I guess when I just think of Joy, I think about the character in Inside Out, and she's not evil at all.
That's
and
true.
she has the normal amount of limbs.
Also true, I suppose.
Anyway, the gods, though, defeated Ashlesh, trapping it below a lake in the underworld and guarded by an order of heroes. Nilah realized that all of this was below her feet in her homeland. So she went out to find them and maybe join this order. She wasn't seen for 10 years, and in that time, people forgot Nilah, including her family. Like, any mention of her name was erased from books, and people just completely forgot who she was.
It's a much more complete forgetting spell than Hermione had.
Cut. Anyway, when she did come back, she was very different, full of joy, and now going by the name of Nilah. Nilah does seem to know what happened to her, but she's very close-lipped about it, I guess, which is my way of thinking. Maybe she doesn't know, and she's just pretending that she knows.
Right. But not literally closed-lipped. She has open lips at all times.
'Cause she's
in
smiling.
Wide, creepy smiles.
Yeah. The bio does propose a few ideas, like she was trained by the order, or her body was taken over by something else, which was my first thought when she had come back. Very different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is very close to one of those. No, some say this, and some say that, which I didn't think we were going to get in 2022 releases, but here we are.
I will say, this one's a little different for me. This one hits a little different,
a little bit.
One because
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say one because like this seemed like a thing where we know enough that I don't mind a little bit of mystery, but then also her quotes and other story things also tell so much that I feel like it's not a mystery anymore anyway.
The quotes tell some. I still find it to be pretty like too vague, and I do have a note that's like I'm not terribly happy with the dark, mysterious past because it is 2022, people. You know, like we can be a little bit more. It felt like a little like a bait and switch because it was like, oh, she's mysterious and no one knows, and then it starts telling you as if like here's the actual, and then it kind of pulls the rug out from under you, like, but actually no one knows, you know.
Yeah, and if they're gonna reveal it all in her quotes anyway, why bother with this? Oh, she's farting now. That might come up on the microphone.
Nice.
Just hiccups and baby farts. You're welcome, everybody. If they're gonna give it all away anyway, why not put it in the lore? People do enjoy the lore without really playing the game, and that's cool. That should be encouraged.
One reason it frustrates me a bit is because I do find some of her motivations to be unclear. I find them to be kind of muddled. And I think that if I knew what was going on with her, it would help me understand or like divine more of what those motivations are. But because I don't, I feel like there's just a lot of guesswork happening. And it almost feels like contradictory at certain points. And I don't know if that is contradictory or if like I had the whole scoop, it would make sense. But we can get into that a bit.
Oh, yes. To round out where Nilah is now, she hunts monsters with her liquid blade like a waterbender. God, I didn't realize what I was trying to say there. Her liquid blade, like a waterbender. Okay. She also seems to wield Ashlesh's power a little bit. She's in Bilgewater now, fighting the biggest monster she can find. That's kind of her thing. And she's like, how big is this monster? I would like to fight it now. Thank you. All while smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I think the main questions that I had were motivations. Like, at first glance, I thought maybe like there's some iteration of like joy in people feeling protected or something like that, and maybe that's what the demon feeds off of, and like that's why she's doing it. But then they also kind of make it clear that like she's just trying to protect the weak and the innocent. But then there were other like times where I felt like that wasn't really the case. Like there definitely seems like there's something more there.
Yeah.
So I am curious, and she's very specific too. Like when she does these big things, she's always harping on the fact that like people have to remember this. Like they have to remember it, and they have to remember my name. And I'm curious, I have a theory around this, and this could be... So, like, I know that, like, demon names, there's, like, a lot of power in a demon name. Like, knowing a demon's name often lets you control it, which I kind of feel like is probably a bit of what happened with this demon in general, because a lot of her quotes are also talking about, like, one detail I love about her is she always refers to everyone by their full name. It's always Tobias Fate, it's always Malcolm Grave. She refers to the demons by their full names. Volibear's the Thousand-Pierced Bear. Everyone gets the full name at all times. And she also has quotes about, like, remembering her name, and I'm curious if the power that she has from the demon only lasts as long as people remember her name, and then the demon gets her soul. That's my theory.
It's a good question.
But they don't remember her name.
Well, Nilah is like her given name.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, one thing we could look at would be the little line at the start of the short story. Because the little bit at the start of the short story is a quote from Ashlesh, like the myth of Ashlesh, right? And what it is kind of saying is you'll feel joy, you'll be a hero, and you will become legendary. And what I ask in return is you. So it's an interesting idea. My kind of read on it was that it's almost more like a pact and a trade, right? And that's something one of her VO lines is like, oh, I chose this. This was my choice. And what I kind of assume, if I had to guess as to what happened, is that she made a deal in some way with this demon, even if it's still kind of trapped and is using its power. And the gift is that, she gets to be this legend and this hero, like the thing she was obsessed with, and which I think would also kind of be something that, for someone who's been forgotten, like through this magical means, I could see it becoming something that they want and drives them, is being remembered, even if it's in this sort of mythical, legendary way. And then just the price is A, her being scrubbed from existence as she was, and then B, kind of, probably her soul at the end. Like, she will live on as a hero and remembered, but that soul is also part of that price, is kind of my read on it a little.
And I do like I like that there's options here.
You both like it.
I like that
in concept.
In concept, yeah. I think that's the thing I'm finding a lot with Nilah, is that I like that motivation a lot for, like, because to me it starts to line up. It's like, you have someone who is really obsessed with myths and legends, who entered into this pact, and in being scrubbed from existence in a way, is now driven to be remembered. But then there's also these kind of weird stuff of, like, but she also talks about protecting people, and she also talks about there's lines in the short story too about seeming to want to, and her VO, about just wanting to, like, challenge herself and not caring about things even if they don't. It has nothing to do with whether or not it drives her legend, but whether or not they are a big enough, like, they're even a challenge, and just like almost like the
honing
oneself. And I find that all start to be a little conflicty, rather than
like she's protecting the innocent, but she's not going to be stopping, like, a mugger, because they're nothing to her.
Yeah, right. And it's like, is that intentional, or is it, because what it feels a little more like to me is maybe they didn't have things quite nailed down, or like there's a kind of a kitchen sink thing happening a bit with her, where they've got a couple of different ideas that all have kind of been smushed into a character, and some of them kind of run contrary a little bit. It's a little bit of my feeling about some of that, the motivation side of it.
Yeah. Is this the first use of demon power for good? Intentional good?
Intentional, probably, yeah.
I know Annie did burn down the Black Rose School, which was good, but I feel like she was not trying to be altruistic there.
No, she's not exactly morally gray, Annie.
Yeah, I think it's a good. Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good call out. But how do y'all feel about the Cathcan stuff? 'Cause I'm not a huge fan of it.
I have questions. I have a lot of questions about Cathcan that I'm hoping will, like, maybe this is a region we'll see more people from, maybe, that we'll get a more information about. But as of now, I am like, I want to know more about them. Like, we really didn't get anything.
Yeah,
all we got was that, like, they were neighbors of Camivore. They were bullied by Camivore. Camivore was stronger than them, so they had, like, big defenses just for Camivore. And then, when Viego disappeared, they're like, oh, we don't need that anymore. And they don't visit the mainland for some reason that they never specify. I don't know, like, if they're fully self-sufficient or what, but no trade there.
Yeah, I never got a picture of it, so I don't really feel much of anything. We kind of learn in the short story that one thing Nilah is doing is she's punishing all the Sentinels because they left Viego, she says, on the doorstep of her homeland. I like the idea that Viego was locked away in a place where people are, and they're like, are you just gonna leave this villain here? Like, obviously, have you ever seen a movie? He's gonna get out,
Right? Like, they put it in Camivore because, like, oh, there's probably no one in Camivore, but then, like, the next door neighbor's like, hey,
they're
the
like,
fuck?
Hey, there's people here, man.
It's like, clean up your dog shit afterwards. Yeah. No, I mean, I get what you're saying with that, Rebecca. I felt a little like, I think it's frustrating for me because we have places that they've already established, like Ishtal, that it feels like they don't want to kind of finish some of what they've started, and they'd like to just kind of they want to just do something new. When I feel like Ishtal in particular, the little bit that they have put out about it is that it's all about elemental magic, and I feel like she is such a slam dunk to put in there and, like, help flesh out something you've already established instead of inventing this place just for this character. That like you said, it's weird that you hear no peep from them. It's weird to me the idea that they would have no need for heroes and legends and stuff, as if like Runeterra, yeah, they got Noxus, but more importantly, there's this magical crap that just happens, and the place is just dangerous. And it seems reasonable that any place on Runeterra, like Valoran, whatever this continent is otherwise, would still need people to do shit, you know?
There's actually a line in this story that said, back when the world was young and humanity's enemies were 1,000-fold. Like, lady, humanity's enemies are still 1,000-fold. You're good.
Yeah, even more so probably than there used to be, you know?
Yeah, it's tough because I don't know how Riot can go about adding regions. I don't know. I don't know if there's a way you could do it and just like not shine attention on the fact that you're just adding a new I don't know. Be like, it was here all along, and now we're hearing about it. I don't know.
Yeah, like there's only going to be so many of these islands where nobody's ever visited the mainland that they'll be able to add in.
Yeah, I get it. It's a hard limitation to run into. I guess I would be more maybe I'd be more sympathetic if there weren't big open spots on the map that are just like have nothing going on, or places like I was saying, Ishtal, that they've established and they just haven't really done much with, and it feels like they just don't want to. And they're like,
they
we don't really have this figured out.
You could just drop a village in like a piece of land that's not taken. You know, we clearly there's other stuff in Runeterra than what you've highlighted. There's other towns and cities, and you don't have to say like, oh, we named 20 of them and that's all of them. Like that's all we
got. 20 names.
And nothing else would have to change either. Like there's nothing inherent about like the only thing would be like, she's upset about Viego because her town's right next to it. Like, no, you could like, for at least from the sounds of it, Viego, her worry is that he's gonna wake up, he's gonna break his binds eventually, and his type of magic is angering old demons and they're gonna wake up. Like, you can be mad about that regardless of where you live. Like, vengeance, like, there's no real reason they had to be neighbors.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I think what I would say to that too is that it seems like Riot has made her very strong, right? In universe, she is exceptionally strong, and something that they have in the bio is a list of some accomplishments that she has done, which include things like killing some dragon that's the progenitor of all Camavoran dragons, some demon of change, something that's labeled as demigod, which I don't know what that means in the context of like Runeterra, but that's like really high level shit. So I can see why you couldn't have this person who's done all these things just suddenly pop out of nowhere. Right? And even especially since her whole shtick is she's trying to build a legend, you know, like. But I guess my question then is like, what is that service? And I still don't know. Like, why have they made her so strong in universe? Because it's very, to me it stands a little like it's very noticeable. Like, man, she is really fucking powerful, and it feels a little weird almost to me.
I'll tell you what my thoughts are. And I feel like they're the same thoughts I have with a lot of the newer stories, is they needed an excuse to name all of the... Because actually, I got a different read on it. I don't know if I read it wrong, but I thought that those things you named were the list of things that she wanted to take care of. I didn't know that she had taken care of them yet. And I thought that they needed a champion that was an excuse to name a bunch of really strong enemies that we hadn't been introduced to yet as raids for the MMO.
A bunch of enemies that have like skulls and have like super red like health bars and shit. You know?
That's brilliant, John. I didn't think of that.
It's a good,
So when the Fred are like, oh shit, that's that thing that Nilah wants to kill.
I'm not gonna fucking remember these names, right? I already forgot them. I just read it.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the bio now, and the line is, she embarked on a conquest of the greatest threats of ancient myth, and it's these things. And then the line after that paragraph is, each new foe rises against Nilah in challenge, and each is snuffed out in a blah blah blah. So my read on it was that she went out to do that and did it, and is successful in conquesting these foes. But I like that more, and I would prefer almost that if those like she had a hit list or something, or like these are the. Wouldn't that be great if for VO she was like constantly talking about different myths and legends and like, oh, I long to find the I don't know, whatever the names I gave to these things are. Grandmother
Demigod
Viper,
thing.
right? Yeah.
Oh,
Demigod,
yeah.
Naba Vesvelicus, whatever.
Nailed it.
Imago, demon of change and scourge of the Carnelian Valley.
LFG for, Naba Velicus or whatever, right?
One thing that stuck out here too. This was like, back in the day before Ashlesh got banished. It said that hungering for primal joy, Ashlesh attempted to consume the realm of the gods, but the gods struck the monster down, trapping it deep below the earth in an endless shimmering lake within the 7th layer of the underworld. There it would be guarded by a mythical order of heroes. And like I was thinking to myself, like, man, it was a calculated risk, but Ashlesh sure is bad at math. It's like, I'm gonna go eat the gods, and they're just like, no. They just like spritz bottled him away.
Whacking him with a newspaper, man. I like that.
He said in the Belvet episode that you whack her with the newspaper.
It's fucking effective. Oh man.
Just for the record, Mark has not hit his dog with a newspaper. That's not something he does.
Because my dog doesn't try and take over heaven.
That's true. I bet you would knock her once on the nose if she did try to eat the gods. You know
Just a
what? I
little
might
bit.
encourage that. I'd like to see it. She's a very small dog.
So is this in reference, you think, to like Targon and Targon Prime?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's weird for them to refer to it as the realm of the gods and not the realm of like the celestials.
It's hard because, again, she's coming from an entirely different culture that we have almost like zero insight into. And something that they mention in this bio is that they seem to have their own like creation myth. So this could be something entirely different, which actually, as I'm saying it, I think that probably makes more sense than Targon. Because I would assume that what's their name? Cathcon probably thinks of something else as gods in the realm of the gods rather than Targon, which is over on this other continent that they don't interact with. So
Ever.
yeah, pretty much ever, right?
700 years. I think.
700 years. Yeah, it would make sense too. And it would also like, I feel like the Targonians had, or like the Celestials really, had to go through a lot of like chicanery to capture Aurelian's soul so that he could close void rifts for them. It's like if they could just banish a demon to the underworld, like the flick of a hand, it seems like a power level that might be beyond them. They couldn't even do that to like the Ascended. They had to come up with weird ass workarounds to deal with them.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly don't know. I think this is entering the thing
Celestial's
where it's like,
weak is what I'm saying. Come at me.
I mean, who knows, right? This is the thing too, where it's like there's the lore around. I feel like the lore around Celestials and Targon Prime and all that jazz is already very fuzzy, and we're trying to like relate it to this thing that literally only exists as a part of this champion. It's like, who can say, right? Some say that blah, 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 right? So, yeah, I don't have much else on the bio. If we want to dig into the
Yeah,
short
I think that was
story.
all I had for the bio.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then
All right.
that was by Jared Rosen, by the way. I don't know if we.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
He did the short story as well.
Yes, an
he
intimate
did.
evening at Oyster Bill's.
Sure. So I'll do this one unless you wanted to, Rebecca.
No, go for it.
You're dealing with a baby. So this one opens. It opens with like I said, it has the opening bit is a little not poem, but it's just a little line from the myth of Ashlesh, and it goes over what I described. But it opens on Nilah. I'm like gonna forget how to even say it either way. Nilah is kicking graves around, and they were at Oyster Bill's. She's kicking them around, and she is. It seemed like maybe even less so than punishing Sentinels. She's trying to get more information from them. And he is kind of deflecting, A, by just lying and saying he doesn't know what the hell she's talking about, and B, kind of trying to direct her to other Sentinels. But what kind of happened is that recently she showed up in Bilgewater. She started killing big-ass sea serpents and asking around about the Sentinels of Light. So Graves has been ducking her, but she's finally found him. And it seems like, yeah, she wants to find Viego because he's been kind of left in Camivore, which is kind of on the doorstep of Cathcon. Eventually, a group of toughs, of not mercenaries, thugs, show up, and they're pissed because she's been killing these big sea serpents, and so it's like flooding the market with supply. So I assume she's driving down the price of like fish eyes or whatever. And they've got some big kind of monster.
Sea serpents have
them.
so many eyes.
Right. She doesn't really care about them because she's like, oh, they're not even worth the effort. But that big monster thing they got with them, the thing called a Deep Eater, that might be worth it. Kills them all, and she kind of comes back to Graves and kind of explains that she wants to find Viego because he'll get out eventually. And like you had said, John, it's not so much him that's the issue. It's more that when he's doing his ruination shit, it seems like it really makes demons upset in some way, or it riles them up, angries up their blood. For some
Angie's
reason.
up their blood.
Make them so angry. They're so mad. The ruination.
It's funny because I was surprised I haven't slept like that with the baby. I'm always like, "Are you hungry? Who's hungry?" It's just like all day. That's my life.
And yeah, and she recognizes that Graves isn't who she's looking for because he's just Graves, and she leaves him be, and goes off, I assume, to go find the Sentinel she's actually looking for. Whoever it was that bound Viego, which I guess is probably Cinna and or Action.
Cinna and Gwen and Action.
And maybe Gwen.
The trio.
It depends on if she read the comic or the visual novel. But that's mostly it. It's not really told from her perspective or anything. It's more from Graves' perspective than anything, honestly.
Yeah. Which... I feel like Jared Rosen really has
He's
Graves,
got the Graves
locked
voice
in.
nailed.
I like
Yeah.
Yeah. I assume I almost feel like that's why
I think so.
he wrote this. I don't know. He really likes Graves. He's got Graves figured out, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But
I liked it. I say overall, like, it had a lot of the same feeling of like, the Akali short story where the whole thing was kind of like an action piece meant to highlight like, yeah, this is a badass character right here. But there's way more personality in this. Like, I feel like I left this story knowing more about Nilah, knowing more about at least what she thinks her motivations are, and like the read was enjoyable. I liked this as a color piece.
All the different ways Jared described how she was constantly joyous, but in ways that were different. Like, she was trying to be angry or knew she would be angry in a moment but can't feel anger. So the joy is like kind of reflected differently in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really wish that was something that she was capitalized on way harder with her across the board. Because I think she reminds me of Aatrox a bit in that there are some really cool ideas, and that one in particular, the idea of like not being able to feel anything,
any other emotion
but happiness,
but joy.
Yeah, that should be really haunting, and I feel like it just never pulls the trigger on that, really. Mm-hmm. I think setting this in her perspective would have helped a lot. Getting inside her head is something I really would have wanted, because there's a lot of situations where that could be a problem. It seems like something that maybe the outset, like, oh, what's wrong with feeling happy, right? But what happens when, she's reflecting on the fact that, her mom doesn't know who she is, like, doesn't even realize that she had her, right? Or she gets hurt, which I guess I don't know if that would ever happen, right? But if you lose a finger, you might not want to be happy about that shit, things like that. And I think it's almost a shame that there has to be a line where the writer just kind of comes in and says, hey, she would feel angry right now, but she doesn't because she can't. And it's like, I would really like, it's a hard thing to communicate when you're not in their head, I feel like.
Yeah.
But it is a fun read. The Graves part for me, I think, holds it up more.
Yeah. I had a few notes on this one. I mean, we mentioned the fact that, like, it had been 700 years since anyone from Cathcon had been to the Valoran, even. Which, it seems weird. When I first read it, I was just like, oh shit, is Nilah actually, like, really old, maybe? Mm. And, like, and she's just kind of being kept alive, because timelines are always very vague here, because like they stretch so long, and like the reign of Viego was like not recent, so like the fact that there was a story about him that Nilah was reading doesn't necessarily compress the timeline that much. So it's unclear actually to me if Cathcan still exists in its current. I mean, it must, because she does seem a little pissy that Viego's there for that reason. But
I think they mentioned that since the fall of the king, they haven't needed it, and it's been hundreds of years since then, or a long time since then. So it's been a very long time since Viego has left.
I'm curious what the inciting incident was to them not going to the mainland, because even Graves to know specifically how long it had been that someone from Cathcan had been to the mainland makes it seem like it was an intentional decision that was highlighted in some way that is recorded somewhere that it was 700 years ago.
Well, they said, hey, we're not going to show up because in case we need a champion from here, we need to be off the books. What I will say, too, is that I think that little bit is actually not so specifically Graves. It's more just talking about how she has gained she's very quickly become, a lot of people are taking note of her. And it's partially because she's going around doing her weird Nilah stuff. Partially because she goes around and it has weird armor, and also partially because she's going around saying, hey, I'm from Cathcan. And it seems like enough people sort of know that, they haven't been around in over 700 years. So maybe Graves specifically doesn't know that information, but enough people at Bilgewater are aware. So maybe it's not him in particular.
TF told him.
Yeah, right? Honestly.
You mean Tobias Fate?
Sorry.
Frankly, that is something
that
everyone has their full name when you're talking about Nilah.
I think she doesn't even give him Fate. She gives him Felix, which is like his original moniker. Yeah. I do like that is a neat detail, actually. I didn't even pick up on that, but since you're saying it, it's that is interesting. And that's something that comes up here, too, is that she is constantly calling him Malcolm Graves, and not just Graves. And he even tries to correct her. And she says, there's power in a name, essentially.
There is great power in a true name. Yeah. And she says, remember that.
I think you're onto something with that. I think that's definitely something that's got some weight to it. I would like to know more about what's going on with that, though.
Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna, I don't know, what they're thinking about in general plans for demons more, because they have a few scattered around the lore that they haven't, they touched on Fiddlesticks a little bit in his rework, but other than that, not so much.
Yeah. Also, timeline-wise, this probably then took place before the boys and Bombolini, since I'm pretty sure Nilah is the one that TF is referencing when he mentions the run-in that Graves had with the girl with the laughing jar.
Yeah.
That we had the big question mark about when we were like, who the fuck is the girl with the laughing jar?
God, yeah, I forgot about that.
I thought about that too, and I went back and reread it because, you're right. The way that they talk about her is as if we saw her a few weeks back. What I will say is I get this ever slightest stink of maybe not wires getting crossed, or maybe they didn't have things 100% nailed down when that story got wrote almost. I don't know. I know these are pretty recent. I'd have to look at the timeline. It's just that there's not anything that I ever saw with her depicting that her she's got the little ball of demon, right, that she kind of has on her hip, right? I don't remember it ever really being depicted as laughing. Maybe when Graves is getting kind of he starts getting a little drawn into it. I don't remember if laughing is described there. But also, Tobias is oh man, so many hands. And it's I know she's got some hand stuff going on somewhere, but it's not something that to me reads when I look at her at all, really. Even her abilities in game. Hand stuff is it's there, but it's much more subtle than the first thing.
Nilah's not into hand stuff.
Yeah, what can I say? It's fine. But it's weird. That's a weird thing with her, and this is not so much lore stuff, but design-wise, is they really like this idea of the seven hand stuff and multiple hands and stuff, but I feel it's it needs to be even more. I want to be seeing it. When I look at her, in her splash and stuff, I have to really look to see oh yeah, there's hands that are holding the little demon orb, and she's kind of got a little bit of a hand thing going on some of her armor, but it's very subtle.
Do you think her original design, she looked like, what's his name from Mortal Kombat or something?
Goro?
Like Goro.
Yeah, thanks.
Took me a minute. I would like that. That would be a little more interesting, But, Yeah, I don't know if I had
hiding
much.
hands under her clothes.
Yeah, they're always subtle. Like the cinematic too. Like it was like, the hands were kind of following her a bit as she did her shit.
Yeah, it's really subtle. I think this is the thing where I wonder if I want to know more about what happened with her development, because I get the kind of the feeling that she was just kind of a waterbender whip person, and a lot of this demon stuff and even some of this like hand stuff maybe was kind of added in a later in development. I don't know. It has this weird feel to it a little bit.
Now we're gonna need to hear from the demonology experts in the Discord. Let us know, because I know that there are a lot of references here specifically to the 7 hands, reaching for 7 keys and shit like that. And I know that on the demonology list there are 7 major, there are 7 circles on the demonology list, and there's a lot of key imagery. Like there's a specific amount of keys that are tied to the demons too. I know Zoe's got one of the keys, and like fiddles. I think actually Zoe might have fiddles. I don't know. I haven't looked into it too much, but there's a lot of shit about keys and a lot of shit about 7 on the demonology chart.
Yeah.
Is this a demon thing, or is this specifically because this particular demon was banished to the 7th circle and is now requiring a key to get out of each circle? I don't know which one of those it is. It's probably one of them, though.
I thought
Maybe
there
it's
were 10 big demons.
There's 7, and then there's the 3 in the middle.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's a good question, right? This is the thing where it's like, yeah, right. This is the thing where it's like some mystery is fun, and it can be fun to kind of pick some of this apart, but like, it feels like almost a little too much mystery for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased a little bit. Maybe it's because we've seen so many old champions where we see these mysteries and they don't ever get answered. That like, I don't trust Riot to answer.
That's it.
I think Jared was the one who came up with the original demonology chart too.
Oh, okay.
That was steeped in mystery too. So maybe he's got the long game.
Okay.
That's fair.
We see you, Jared.
I'll throw more trust. I'll put a little more trust in Big J.
That's your new name, Jared. If you ever
Sorry.
hear this one day.
But yeah, I don't know if I had much more else for this one. I'm just kind of looking through it, but I guess I'll be curious to see if we get more stories about her following up and going elsewhere, like outside of Bilgewater. To go find the other Sentinels.
Well,
we'll see.
I mean, she certainly goes to the Star Guardian city. Now, the one cinematic we do have, and it's kind of like, one of those half cinematics. It's her like release one called Nilah, the Joy Unbound, which is just, Nilah wrecking a massive sea monster. And then at the end of it, and this was actually something else that made me question her overall motives. There's a quote at the end of it where she says, "I hope the heavens are watching. I hope they're nervous," which seems much less protecting the innocent and more like demon with an axe to grind.
Sure. Yeah. I would be open because she's obviously being affected by Ashlesh in some way. That's why I just want to get a story in her head. I just really want to know what the hell's going on in there. Aside from just happiness. You know what I mean?
Plus, that would be fun to play around with. I like the idea. The writing challenge of writing someone who is unbelievably joyful constantly, even if they don't want to be. I like that.
I'm just imagining like we get inside her head and it's just a nonstop
Sandstorm.
loop of that Tiny Tim song.
Oh, I see. We had different ideas about joy. You had that song, and I had Sandstorm by Darude. That's my joyful song.
Beautiful.
Because I'm a true millennial, okay?
I feel happy and glad.
You're old as shit. Oh, I guess that's a SpongeBob thing.
It is a SpongeBob thing. Thank you very much.
You're right.
It's also a YTMND thing. It was big on there.
Oh, that's true.
Man, that's...
And that's old.
I know. John and I reference YTMND like too often for how long it's been. Because we just remember so many things from YTMND.
It's still up, I think.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
is
still
it?
around.
Holy crap! I haven't been there since 2006.
Well, that will be a
Graduated high
fun.
school.
That'll be a fun field trip for the listeners who have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
I don't know what it is now. It used to it would be a website and there would be an image or a GIF and then some kind of sound. And it was
It's as simple
peak
as that.
humor
Yeah.
back then.
How could this happen to me?
Yeah, we were singing. Oh, I was singing that to Poppy the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
She's being very dramatic, like
She
a baby
was.
does.
And there was one on there that was just like,
Was it the orange?
it was Darth Vader, and it had a pitch shifted version of that song really, really low, like he was singing it, and that was funny.
I'm starting to see now, like, TikToks that are referencing things that were on IMDb, but, like, Gen Z's discovering them. So, like, someone made a TikTok talking about how in the Duel of Fate song, it sounds like he's saying corn on the cob, corn on the kebab. And I was like, that's literally a YTMND video. Are you fucking kidding me?
Humor is
Video.
cyclical, man. It's
Right.
all flat circle.
But also, I'm glad that you also discovered that, Gen Z, because I also can only hear corn on the cob, corn on the kebab when I hear that song now. And now you are also cursed with it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It's like me in that Smash Brothers song.
Oh.
Call me Papa, me be who? Who was it? Wasn't me.
Oh,
As
I thought you said Smash Mouth. I was like, what the fuck Smash Mouth
Yes,
song
that
are you
hit
singing?
Smash Mouth song.
You know, from Shrek. Call me Papa. Anywho, so I have some quotes written
Are
down.
you sweating hot right now down here? Because I'm very warm and I'm a little worried about her.
I can turn.
I don't think we should have the fan on. You might be able to put her down now, but I don't know.
He just puts her on the ground.
If you're not hot, then I'll trust that she's fine. She's really
I'm
burying
not
herself
sweating
in your
hot.
I'm also drinking alcohol, so... And I'm just a sweaty gal,
Yeah.
so I have no idea.
Jeez, your face isn't red. I wouldn't worry
Okay,
about it.
if you're comfortable, then she's probably fine. She's not fine.
Oh,
So many sounds. That was her. She just farted after all that, so that was her. That's a fart sound. Anyway, quotes.
So we've got some quotes from her. So first, the Ashlesh ones. In death, Ashlesh, my spirit is yours, but in life, your strength and joy belong to me. And then Ashlesh, Lord of Joy, for stealing my name and my fate, I claim your power. And then Rage in your prison, demon, I am in control. And finally, for this strength, I gave everything.
What'd she give? I guess her life. Whatever.
It's reality, you know.
I mean, you know,
She forgot every book she ever read.
Did she?
Ah,
maybe.
Well, she seems to remember her life. It's just that nobody remembers her.
Yeah, yeah, right. Every book that had her name in it, which can't have been many. I mean,
She was
you
like
know.
12. I don't think she was very old.
All the
when she
notes
went
that she passed back and forth. Do you like me, Nilah?
Right.
Whatever her name was.
Do you like me? Circle yes or no.
all the MASH games that she was a part of. We're just a real millennial episode. Sorry.
She has got a few quotes here towards some specific demons. We got a few towards Fiddlesticks. Lord of Fear, I know what you really are, and I know how to kill you. And then,
Yeah, that one was interesting.
ha! First of nothing. Tell the other 8 where to find me. And she's got one towards Swain.
The Swain one was interesting.
We are not alike, Jericho Swain. I know the price I paid.
So what's the deal with this? Has
Well, I
Swain?
know-
We haven't gotten S yet, so I don't
Swain
know.
has demon too.
Swain
Yeah,
has a demon too, but he doesn't understand what he's given up for it. I
Maybe.
guess.
That's the implication.
Okay.
is,
Yeah.
Interesting.
yeah, that'll be
Maybe
the
he
implication
thinks he's
for
more
sure.
in control than he really is.
Which
Ooh,
seems
that
very on
sounds like
brand
Swain.
with him.
Yeah.
Or one
I
with
will say
Karma's
one thing about her
interesting.
quotes. Given her like water style combat, I am very surprised to see no quotes alluding to either Bruce Lee or Avatar. I think the
Yeah.
closest one we got was when you flow as water, nothing can harm you. That was like the
Yeah.
closest we got to Bruce Lee.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about it, but it's a yeah. Someone else
Hmm.
has one like that. Who does it? But I don't remember. I know we've done
Probably
some.
like Lee Sin would be my guess, some shit like that.
I don't think it is. I remember we talked about someone who had that.
Oh, did we?
It's just lost in the vault of champion quotes. But
I don't even remember Belveth.
yeah, right. Who's that? She got one with Karma that I thought was interesting, where she says that your ancestors and mine once shared a homeland. She calls her Darha.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe that's where Karma's from. No, Darha was originally from Ionia, right? Ancestors.
They had, ancestors, yeah. Because they had mentioned the
Interesting.
exact place that Karma was from. So, well, not Karma herself, but Dara.
Yeah. But that's
But
interesting.
yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Maybe like Ionians, like maybe a group of them left from Karakan.
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
settled there at some point in the past.
That's all I had written down.
Yeah, I think that's it for Can and Nilah. It's a little disappointing. Riot kind of fell back on like old habits a little bit, but not super heavily. I don't know. I'm very confused, but it only felt like the bio was vague and everything else gave us answers, and I don't really understand why the bio was vague.
I liked it here,
Yeah.
and I don't think I would have liked it elsewhere. Something about Nilah and her story made me okay with the decision to use that here.
I like Nilah in general, and I liked a lot of the ideas behind her for sure. And I love that they're diving more into demons themselves because they definitely need some love.
Yeah.
They don't need love. They need defeating. But
We need the demon of love.
Sure.
that's Evelyn, honey.
I was gonna say Evelyn's
Lust and
boss,
love are the
right?
same.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly like a lot of what's going on with the maybe world building part of it, ignoring the Karakan stuff, but just like the demonic stuff getting a little more fleshed out. To me, she kind of has some feelings of like, it's like I said at the start, like I feel that as a character, she's kind of left a little empty because she's doing so much like heavy lifting around some of that like demonic like world building stuff, and I think there was like some really strong concepts that I just, most specifically the idea of this joy being the only thing she can feel, that I feel like almost get left like not on the cutting room floor, but it's just kind of mentioned a few times and then they don't ever like really pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, like that should be like the hook entirely of her character, I feel like, but she has like 4 hooks.
It's a difficult hook to execute on, I think, and like
It is.
the feel. Poppy has some thoughts
Poppy's
about
feeling
this.
Because she's not into it. Or she's really into it. I can't tell yet. She's a newborn.
Yeah, I think kind of like you're saying, to me she feels a little, almost not overloaded, but a little bit confusing, and I like a little bit too much of like a grab bag, or I almost thought I had some feelings a little bit of like, kind of like I was reading a little bit like a fan fiction character, where it's like, hey, here's this character from this place that that you've never heard of, and she's super powerful, and she's got all this, she's got a lot going on, and she even shows up and kicks around Graves, and Graves likes her at the end of it. It's a little like, I'm not in love with this.
And then they kiss.
No, I'm with you, Mark. I was thinking it feels like something that didn't fit into the lore that's already been established a little bit, and I like that comparison a lot. That somebody took like an original idea they had, an original character, and put it in their Harry Potter fan fiction. Is kind of what it felt like a little bit. Yeah, I get that.
I know sometimes we draw like D&D character comparisons. To me, this is like the DM had a character idea they really wanted to play, and they just couldn't let this NPC go, and so they're like a DM PC that's tooling around with the party, but ends up kind of stepping on them a bit. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. I would
We'll
like
see.
to see
She
like
is
what's
legit like
her
a monk warlock with water whip.
That's true. I want to know what her limit is, because she seems like the most powerful being in Runeterra based on what we know, and like that can't be possible. So I'm fine with her being very powerful, but I'm kind of curious, like, what is that limit? Who would be able to defeat her? Because I don't know. It's just a little. The power dynamics are not. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, to introduce someone
sure.
this powerful is, that's kind of a big deal. And I don't know where.
This is going to be like one of those Nick Fury moments, too, where at the post-credit scene, Jax comes to recruit her.
Oh, see, I would have liked that. He gives her an egg.
That's his invitation. You know, in Nilah's defense, I will say also, this is a lot of setup. You know, there's a lot that could end up happening with her that might address all of this and would make her feel really good. So, you know, we'll see, maybe. Maybe.
All right. So there's one AU, John.
There is one AU.
So you got nothing to talk about, right?
My bedtime's in 40 minutes, so
You would think that this would be a quick thing, but you would be wrong because that AU is Star Guardian. Let me take you on a little journey.
oh Jesus, you scrolled down.
Oh,
It
that's
didn't even
not.
fit the screen. Okay.
There's a lot there.
It's a page.
All right, Star Guardian. In a vast and dark universe, young warriors are chosen by fate to protect the light of the stars. They are destined to burn bright, but collapse as furiously as they shine.
I missed your AU voice. I feel like it's been forever.
I try. I practice in the shower.
I know. I can hear you.
In a shower where one man must walk. So this one is Star Guardian Nilah. A ceaselessly joyful Star Guardian, famed throughout the cosmos for destroying planet-sized foes, Nilah has given up her jurisdiction over the great expanse of the universe to help out in the fight against Morgana. Bound by her promise to Lux to train and oversee these new fresh-faced heroes, she relays tales of great victories and legendary opponents to the bright-eyed forces of good, as well as the truth of their oaths, and how to thrive when faced against impossible odds. And her little medium is named Dahlia. Dahlia's bark is definitely worse than its bite. Its tongue gets in the way of any damage those canines could do. Nevertheless, when Nilah's companion transforms into her mystical blade, it cuts deep. Fighting monsters brings it unparalleled joy. But then again, so does everything. Will its tail ever stop wagging? Now, she is part of one cinematic, Everything Goes On, where she's just kind of at the end of it, and she's part of Kaisa's team, which, for the record, Everything Goes On fucking slaps. That song's so good. I want to do a parody of that song just to, like, sing it. I don't even have an idea for what the parody would be, but that song goes hard.
Do you just want to cover
Everything
it?
goes on. Everything goes on what? Everything goes
Goes
on
on pizza.
toast. Ooh, everything goes on pizza.
No, we're not Weird Al. We can do better.
First of all, how dare you imply that we could do better than Weird
I know.
Al?
I'm sorry.
That's the Weird Al version.
Yeah, God, who is that artist? What's his name?
Stephen Lynch.
No,
What?
no, the one who does the song. Fuck, I should know
the
this.
song.
Yeah, this one. Everything Goes On. What's the actual artist?
I
Oh.
do forget his name, unfortunately.
Because I've heard a lot.
I
of
thought
his
we were
Porter
thinking about
Robinson.
parody singers.
More like Porter Robinson.
Ah.
That's it, right? I'm pretty sure because I've heard his stuff
Sure.
before, and I like a lot of his stuff. So if you like that, you should check out his wider discography. I don't fucking know.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. I liked it. Now, Nilah is also part of the visual novel in client for the recent Star Guardian event.
Which you and Mark have to do an episode about still.
We will. And I know this looks like a lot of notes. I'm not covering the storyline. These are all Nilah's bits specifically.
Okay.
So I'm not going to cover everything that happens in the event because there's a lot. And there's a whole visual novel. So I'm going to pick up right where Nilah starts. So after Syndra leaves the team to get back to her much darker story, which I'm interested in, she leaves Nilah in charge of training the group, or like mentoring the group. And then through interactions with Lux, we learn that as an Outer Guardian, Nilah is centuries years old and has been fighting the forces of chaos for years. Then they train a bit. Nilah wrecks Kaisa, obviously. When she wakes up, Nilah reveals that part of her power comes from Ashlesh, the Star of Joy. While her team proved victorious against the monster, she was tainted by the cosmic joy, but managed to fight it back and now wields its power on her own. Nilah notices that Akali and Kaiser have a strong connection, and she believes that it can be made even stronger through shared trials. She does debate for a little bit, like just attracting a monster to the city just to kind of test this. Then there's a point where Morgana is trying to manipulate Akali and essentially try to Palpatine her to the dark side. And Nilah interrupts and is going to just fucking wreck Morg. But Morg's like, oh, no, not interested, and runs away. Later, when Morgana unleashes a Dark Herald to attack the city, Nilah just kind of chills and sits back and lets the team do their work. Because she's there to mentor, not do their job for them.
Did she say that?
She does say that she's not there to... I do think that might be a direct quote. I'm here to mentor, not do your job for you. And then while preparing for the final battle, Nilah takes Kaisa aside and shows her personal galaxy. She reveals that this is all that she has left. Her past life has been lost to time, and Nilah isn't even her real name. She tells Kaisa that while they cannot change their path or regain what was lost, they can enjoy what they have when they have it, and to hold her friends close no matter what tries to tear them apart. Seeing how much Kaisa has grown, Nilah considers her promise to Lux kept, but also decides to stick around. Then there's like this crazy double cross Uno reverse card here where Akali joins Morgana, but then in a twist, Nilah brings Kaisa to Akali and we find out that she's just pretending to have joined Morgana. And then in the big battle, Akali turns on Kaisa and attacks her with Morgana's magic, and then they get pulled into Morgana's realm. But then it turns out that she was just doing that to buy time for the other Star Guardians to get there, and she really is still on Kaisa's side. It was exhausting.
Yeah, it sounds exhausting, I will say.
Oh my god.
After the end of everything, there was a big happy ending there. After the end of everything, we see Syndra visit Nilah at her galaxy, and Syndra experiences a vision from the Dark Star asking her to break chains, which gives her a headache. And then when Nilah goes to check on her, Syndra kind of lashes out and retaliates, and then Nilah notices a dark power within her eye patch. Seeing a worthy foe, Nilah prepares to fight, despite Syndra's reluctance. And then Syndra drops her facade, hoping to gain answers if she plays along with Nilah. Because Nilah has this big thing where, like, she has all sorts of knowledge, but she'll only give it if you, like, fight her or, like, earn it. Okay. She reveals that she has found something that could break the cycle for Star Guardians and has big plans for this universe. And then Syndra takes off her eye patch and unleashes her full power against Nilah, fade to black, riot, freeze frame.
Great. Cool. Can I say when you first said, like, dark power in her eye patch, I thought you were going to say dark power in her iPad. I don't know why.
We all have a dark power in our iPad.
That's why I don't have Apple products.
Okay.
All right, that's her 1AU.
That is her 1AU.
I find it very interesting.
I never have feelings about AUs. I'm sorry. Do you have some, Mark? There.
I find it interesting that she seems so one-to-one with her league.
Yeah, they do that sometimes.
Yeah. Which I guess
like not even changing. This is Ashlesh. Oh no! He's not a demon of joy. He's the star of joy. I could see why you could be confused.
I think you can come up with another like have hints of her or her actual lore. Like, you know, her name not being Nilah, or like her, I don't know, memories of her being erased somehow. That can translate over, but like, yeah, a lot of times they're just like, they just slap a different name on it.
Nilah, but in space.
Yeah.
Like, I expect that for something like an Infernal AU, something that's like, well, whatever. But it's a Star Guardians. This is a pretty hot button issue. I don't know. It's a hot topic.
Button issue. The governor won't stop talking about it. Yeah.
So I was a little surprised, I guess, that it was so one-to-one. I mean, I know it's her release one, but still.
Yeah.
You know.
Especially since a lot of the other ones get, like, very much not one-to-one, like Morgana and Zoe.
Yeah.
Very much not their thing, but, you know, Space Nilah.
Can I ask, so you said something about stopping the cycle with Star Guardians. Is it maybe we should just save this for the episode, but like, is it something where like, is it just like a villain trying to stop Star Guardians so they can do their villain shit? Or is it like being a Star Guardian is kind of like has a bad side to it?
Right, it's that, and that's kind of the main like conflict between Akali and Kaisa through the whole story is like, and it's the whole bitterness of like Zoe as an ex-Star Guardian too, is like the entire purpose of a Star Guardian is to eventually you're gonna burn out and you're gonna die. Like it's the only way that Star Guardians can end, which I mean is kind. It's a weird thing to be upset about because that's also just being human. Ultimately, everyone just dies, so it's not actually different for a Star Guardian than a human. But maybe it'll happen sooner because they're always fighting big bads.
I'll be curious. I've been watching this magical girl anime called Madoka Magica, which is like
It's called Sailor Moon. If you ever heard of it,
it's a little
underground
indie
thing.
but this one I've been watching, I've been liking, and it's kind of got more of a twist, sort of like that. It's a little more of a deconstruction. So I'd be curious to watch some more of the, like those types of animes, and then do the like this and see kind of where their influences lay.
All right, finally we got a handful of fun facts.
nice.
Nilah is voiced by Sandra Saad.
Nice. Good job.
Her codename in development was Urumi, which is the official name for the type of weapon that she uses.
Ah.
God, I really...
You didn't write a
I
pronunciation
did not
for
write a
this.
pronunciation for this. I am so sorry. I'm going to try it, and I apologize in advance. Gayatri Kadinya provided the vocals for Nilah's theme.
I like those
Haven't
vocals
heard
in
it
that.
yet.
It's cool. I like it. It's a really interesting the vocal performance in particular. The rest of it's kind of like what you would expect, but the vocals are kind of they're cool.
It had, because I listened after I like read that too. I just, because I hadn't heard the theme, so I went back and listened to it. Like the vocals have like a kind of frenetic energy that it was very fitting for Nilah. Like it was kind of like a joy, like this is a joy battle theme, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree with that. We should do something talking about themes sometime.
I'm down.
That'd be more of John's thing.
For sure.
I don't know shit about music.
Sounds good.
I mean,
Music
you listen
sounds
to a
good.
lot of it, so
I do. I'll be like, this is one of the ones I listen to on repeat. This is
go.
one that I really like the first 45 seconds, and then I don't care about the rest.
Yeah, I have some of those.
Right.
Nilah is something similar to an aspect host, the main difference being that her power source is an inhuman and extremely evil monster rather than a celestial entity, but kind of a similar thing with her acting as a bit of a host for some otherworldly power.
She does seem to have control, which is new. We've talked about the aspects. We don't know how much, or not. Oh, wait. No, the aspects we talk about control.
It
Who do we?
It kind of varies
Wait.
sometimes.
I mean,
Kale?
it seems to vary. Like Kale's an aspect.
Their aspect. Okay.
And it varies a lot. Like, it seems
I was thinking
like,
about ascended. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
The aspects.
Yeah,
we don't
you
know
know.
how much control they have.
seems like Diana and Leona kind of have
They have
bits,
control.
although maybe they're
Maybe
losing
Leona
more of
not
it.
now. Yeah.
Pantheon probably has way more now than he's ever had.
Yeah. Okay.
As
She
of the
does have
call.
she had a quote towards Pantheon. I don't think it was like very enlightening, but that'd be a fun story. Is have her run into one of them's. See how that goes.
One of them's.
Them their aspects.
And the name thing, Nilah's name might come from the South Asian language Telugu, where Nilu means water.
Oh, okay. Okay. Where's that? Well, you wouldn't know. I was going to ask where's that spoken a lot, but
Where's Telugu spoken?
I'll have to
Telugu.
Google that. That's
Finally, Nilah is one of 23 champions without a single ability power ratio on any ability.
What?
yeah. She's all AD all the time, right?
And that's Nilah.
That's Nilah. We did it.
What's her title again?
Oh,
on Boundless Joy.
The Joy Unbound.
Joy
You were
Unbound.
so
I
close.
was so far off.
I guess it was in Boundless because they did get bounded.
That's true.
At some point.
Bounded real good.
The
Now
upper
he's on
bounds, the
bound.
lower, yeah.
Unbounded by the void. Any final thoughts on Nilah?
I'm good.
What? You're giving me like a look in your eyes like you want to say something, but you don't want to disappoint me.
Yeah.
Okay, what was it?
I was just thinking of other porn names.
Oh, okay.
Because Ashlesh really lends itself to a lot of...
How it's pronounced, by the way? I have no idea. That's just what I said. I don't know.
It sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That was Nilah.
That's Nilah.
Thank you for listening. We might be on a little bit of a break of Champions again for a little bit. We'll see. We're not sure. We're tossing around some ideas for shorter episodes that we can do. And 2-person episodes that we can do. Which will make our lives easier occasionally. But for kind of updates and whatnot, we do have a Twitter. It's @Loreheads. We also have a Discord if you want to join that. John's always on the Discord. You can at us directly or anything if you ever have a question.
And as a heads up too, like it's kind of a short break, but like we are still going to get to all of the champions. So in case
we're done, we decided with Nilah that was it.
Which
Still take care of this
if you are a patron and you signed up for an episode, we are still doing that episode.
Of course,
don't worry about that. Everyone who locked in an episode, you're still locked in. I got them all written down. We're all good. I'll be reaching out to you a few weeks before we record that champion. So all good there.
Yeah. Definitely looking forward to getting back to champions, and also excited about talking about other league related things and whatnot. That'll be fun. I don't tweet much on the Twitter at the Loreheads Twitter, and I did tweet like, hey, we're looking for ideas for smaller episodes. So if you ever want to, like, if you have an idea or something that you want to hear a couple of us talk about, that's something you could do. We are still searching for ideas. We post these on YouTube, and John has some parody songs there. Maybe he'll have a new one soon. That Star Guardian song. We'll see. Everything goes on pizza or whatever.
Everything goes on pizza.
Everything goes on pizza.
I like pizza.
That's one of my favorite things on YouTube, by the way. It's so dumb. It's Mary Kate and Ashley video about pizza. It's a pizza song, which Mary Kate and Ashley was part of my childhood, and then someone slowed it down a little bit, and it's the funniest shit I've ever seen. Anyway, we also have a Twitch. It's twitch.tv/loreheads. John and I are we did start streaming again, and we're going to try to be a little bit more consistent with that. John streams on Saturday. We don't have times. We do have days. We do not have consistent times because his baby has no schedule yet. Although
this one is actually switching to Friday.
Oh yeah. No, you're doing
actually
Monday.
By the time this airs, it won't matter.
Oh, yeah.
I'm alternating I'm doing like an every other thing. Every other week I'll be doing TFT, and then on weeks I'll be doing TFT. Off weeks I'll be doing a random indie game.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and mix it up with a different indie game every week.
He's gonna pick a different. So if you like indie games and you want to see a new one every other week, that's something he'll do. He does those on Saturday. That's his stream.
Right, and eventually I'm hoping to put some of those replays edited down on the YouTube too.
So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and then I stream on Mondays, mostly playing League for now. I don't know if I ever want to mix it up. We'll see. And John was able to join me for some games last week, so hopefully that'll keep up. As long as the baby goes down at a certain time, he can join me for a couple of games before I pass out. Yeah, and we have a Patreon as well. We recently watched the Warcraft movie, the three of us, and talked about that, and it was very fun. And we do want to do more video game, like movie. I don't want to say reviews because I don't know if we're reviewing about it or just ranting about it.
Right.
But what's the difference?
We have no useful insight to share.
No. But yeah, we've talked about other video game movies we'd like to talk. I love video game movies. I don't care how bad they are. I just love them. They're so terrible. But we want to do more of that. John and I are talking about doing some fun, like a fun video soon. And maybe even posting an episode of our other podcast that we had done. We might record a new one and see. Yeah, that could be
post
fun.
That on the
Patreon.
On the Patreon for y'all.
And thank you to all of our patrons.
And a very special thank you to our Medarda tier and all chat tier patrons: Chloe Things, Crow, King of Hearts, Mylect, Phantom, Rel, Roberto, and Chupa Moustache. If you were being attacked by Nilah, I would stand up for you and beat the big bad that she had to fight instead.
Oh.
Yeah.
You really think
I'd
you'd
do
be a
that for you.
challenging enough opponent?
How dare you?
You're too challenging. You're the one she would balk at.
Ouch.
Yeah, I worked out today.
Oh, shit.
Kind of. I pulled weeds.
He pulled weeds.
Hey. That's functional strength right there.
Yeah. Yeah. No glamour muscles on this guy.
What are you talking about? All right. Join us next week, maybe. Well, we're talking about something. I don't know.
We'll think of something.
We'll think of something.
Yeah.
Sometime, somewhere, something.
That's my motto.